I'm here to read you a story for our cosplay Corona story time. It's where cosplayers get to share children's stories to different children around the world, and even some grown-ups too, because sometimes we're stressed, sometimes we're going through a lot. Today I'm going to read you a story called Merlin and the Dragons. And if you can tell, it's going to be about a story about King Arthur and Merlin and Knights of the Round Table. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and begin. Check out the artwork. It's very amazing stuff, especially me who likes to do dragon artwork. Merlin and the Dragons by Jane Yoben. Illustrations by Li Ming. Cool dragon picture. The night was dark and storm clouds marched around. Rain beat across the great castle inside. Inside there was a bedroom hung with tapestries. The young King Arthur had trouble sleeping. Awakened, he was frightened. Asleep, he had disturbing dreams. At last he climbed out of bed, took a candle, lighted his way, and started towards the door. Suddenly remembering the crown, he turned back and found it under the bed. He tossed it angrily for hours before, and now it felt heavy on his head. So he carried it with a string of his fingers. As he walked away to the hall, strange shadows danced around before him, but none were frightening than the shadows of his dreams. He climbed to the tower stairs slowly, biting his lip. As he reached the top, he pushed open a wooden door. The old magician was asleep in his chair, but he awoke once his eyes was quick as a hawk. What is it, boy? The old man said. What brings you here at this hour? Well, I'm a king, Arthur said, softly, but still not sure. I go where I will, right? As he put his crown towards the desk. You're a boy, Merlin says, and boys should be asleep in their bed. Yeah, but I can't sleep, he said. I'm having bad dreams. Ah, Merlin said, knowing the all dreams. He held out his hands to the boy, but Arthur didn't dare want to touch the long nail-linked fingers. Let me read your dreams. Well, actually, it's this one dream. I keep having it. It's the same. A fatherless boy who becomes king simply by putting a sword on the stone. Ah, Merlin said again, wiggling his fingers. I know this very child, but if you cannot tell me more about the dream, I shall have to tell you one of my dreams, or one of my stories. After all, a dream is also a story too. What better than a story on this cold, dark, stormy night? Arthur settled down on the stool, gazed upon the wizard. Story. He hasn't heard a story in a very long time. He came seeking the comfort of companionship. But a story? Well, you know what? That's better. He listened as Merlin began. In the small high village of the Brompton Mountains of Wales, there lived a lonely, fatherless boy named Emerus. Dark hair he was, and small, sharp, bright eyes. The mouth was rarely smiled. He was troubled by dreams, sleeping and walking. Dreams of dragons and dreams of stone. His mother was the daughter of a local king, who tried both the mother and father him. But the princess was only taught to learn songs, needlework, and prayers. She never once climbed a tree after a bird's egg and skinned a knee pursuing a lizard or trying to catch a butterfly. Amorous had to invent growing up on his own, and for the lonely inventing it turned out. The other boys in the village would tease him, not knowing who his father was. Mama's baby, they would tease him, chasing him after the games. So Amorous went after birds' eggs and lizards and butterflies and frogs by himself, giving them odd little names like Flutterby and Wiggertail and Monster Toad. Giving up the stories of creation, he chanted the strange, frightening sounds of spells because he liked the sounds. spells that sometimes would work, and most of the time would not. But he never told his dreams of love, the dreams of the dragons and the stones. Now in the village lived an old man who knew all sorts of things, like reading and writing, how birds speak, why the leaves turn brown in the autumn. And because Emerus was son of a princess, the grandson of a king, the old man taught him all that he knew. It was learning that brought the village boys to him, not the friendship of curiosity. When they would ask Emerus to show the trick of the birds and tell them the stories. Well, glad of company, Emerus would be obliged, and he took them making up harmless predictions to amuse them. The rain will soon fall, Emerus would say, and then often it would. The first spring robin will arrive, and then shortly after, the king. Now the farmer's son couldn't make the same right guesses, and after a while, the boys' villages were no longer impressed. However, one day, Emerus found a book of seasons and movements for the old man's cottage and read it cover to cover. And then he went out to announce the sun's word. Tomorrow, the sun will disappear. The next day at noon, just as the calendars foretold, an eclipse purged across the country land into darkness. The boy and their parents were equally horrified and blamed Emerus. From then on, he was called the demon's child, and they avoided him altogether. Years went on, and Emerus grew up terribly alone, dreaming dreams that he did not understand, dreams about a shaking tower, and dreams about fighting dragons. One day, when Emerus was 12, a cruel, ruthless man named Vortigern came to the valley. Vortigern was unjustly and declared himself High King all over Britain. But the country was last to revolt against him, and he was forced to flee, riding over further north and west. At last he arrived at the foot of Dinas Emerus, a mountain of which towered the above village, and beleaguered army of tired horses bearing tattered banners of bearing the red flag, with the crest of the red dragon. A handful of court magicians rode beside him. Vortigern pointed out to the juggernaut. There, he said as he pointed there. There, I want my tower to be built there, so I can see all my enemies approach. He turned to the soldiers. Gather the people of this village and bring them to me, for they will be my hacklers and hustlers, and they will make my tower of stone. Right, King ears. Young Emerus looked on amusement. Banners would wear the red dragon, a tower of stone. Such things were in his dreams. But what did it all mean? The Welsh stonecutters began work under the watchful eyes of the soldiers. For many days and nights they mined stone, cutting huge pieces of the sides of Dinas Emerus. They swore they could hear cries of the mountain for each time they cut. Next they hauled stones up with rope, with the little Welsh ponies gnawing through the effort. And finally came the day where they built the stone high up the mountainside, stone by stone, as it rose high above the valley. That night, Emerus went to bed, and he dreamed once again the strange dreams. He dreamed of the tower, the one Vortigern built, shook and swayed by the tumble of ground, and he dreamed beneath the tower slept two dragons, one red as Vortigern's banner, and another one was white. That very night, the High King's tower began to shudder and shake, and a mighty crash came tumbling down. In the morning, he saw what happened. Vortigern was furious, convinced that the villagers had did this on purpose. Your work is worthless, he bellowed to the Welshman. You will be whipped, and you will have to work all over again. Charming man, really. So the Welshman had to go back to their stonework, great welts of bricks, They hiked and hauled, and once again the tower rose above the valley. But that night, as they finished, same thing happened again. The tower shook and tumbled on the ground, and by morning, it was just humble stone. Vortigern drove the villagers even harder, and by the following weeks the tower wanted to rebuild. But by the third time, at night, a great shudder went through the mountain, and the work once again laid in ruins. Vortigern's rage could not be contained, so he called all of his magicians. There is dark Welsh magic here. Find out what the cause is. My tower must stand. Now these magicians neither had knowledge nor skill, and they feared Vortigern as they put on a good show. They consulted the trees and both bark and root, and they threw the magic sticks of prophecy, and they played the sacred stones of fate. At last they reported their findings. You must find a fatherless child, they said, a spawn of a demon, who will sprinkle the blood through the stones. Only then, that's when the gods of this land will let the stones stand, as they smile once another, and they laugh. And Vortigern smiles assured that this could not be done. Vortigern did not notice their smiles or laughter. Go find me such a child, then. The magicians then stopped smiling, and they began to look a little nervous. We don't know if such a child exists, sir, they said. We don't even know if your tower can stand. Furiously, Vortigern turned to his soldiers. Go to whoever brings me this child, he says. Before the soldiers could move, a small voice cried out, Please, sir, we are the village know such a boy, the speaker said, as a lad named William. Come here then, child, Vortigern said. Name him. William did not want to get close to the High King. His name, sir, is Emerus. He is the spawn of a demon. He can cry to the sun and to the sky. Vortigern turned to the captain and said, Bring me this demon son to me. At this very moment, Emerus was on the mountain of the old man, absorbed in the strange dream. Under the ruins of the towers, he saw 2 huge stone eggs, breathing in and out. Just as he emerged in the dream, he set upon Vortigern's soldiers. What shall I do? He asked the old man. The old man put his hand on Emerus's shoulder and said, Trust your dreams. The soldiers quickly bonded Emerus and carried him to the High King, but Emerus refused to show any fear. Are you the boy without a father? A boy spawned by a demon? Vortigern nearly asked. I am a boy without a father, yes, that's true, Emerus said, but I am not a son of a demon. You have been listening to words of frightened children. The villagers and the soldiers gasped in appearance, but Vortigern says, I will have your blood either way. Better you than to have my dream, Emerus said. Only my dreams can guide you to the tower that will stand. The boy spoke in such high conversation. Vortigern hesitated. I have dreamed that beneath your tower lies a pool of water, and it must be drained. In the mud you will find 2 hollowed stones, each stone with a sleeping dragon. Each beneath sleeping dragon will shake the earth and make your tower fall. Vanquish the dragons, and your tower will stand. Vortigern turned to his chief musician. Can this be true? Chief magician shook his head and nodded. Dreams can come true. Vortigern hesitated. Nope, no longer. Untie the boy, but watch him, he ordered his soldiers. And you, Welshmen, do as the boy says. Dig beneath this rubble. So the Welshmen removed the stones and dug up, until they came to a vast pool of water. Then the soldiers drained the pool, and just as Emrys had prophesied, the pool was two giant stones. Each stone was breathing in and out, as if they were beneath the mud that trembled. "Stone cutters," Vortigern asked. "Break open the stones." Two men with giant mighty hammers descended into the pit and began to pound each stone. Something bad's gonna happen, but hey. Once or twice, 3 times their hammers rang out. On the third try, let jets of lightning. Cracks rang through each stone as they broke apart, as if they had been giant eggs. Out one emerged a dragon of white of new milk, and out emerged a dragon of red, like old wine. Astonished the power of his dreaming, Emrys opened and closed his mouth, but he could not speak, for the men in the pit scrambled for their safety. The High King Vortigern looked pleased. "Kill them! Kill all these dragons!" But even they spoke, the dragons swooped up on their wings and leaped up to the sky. "They are leaving," the chief musician says. "They are getting away." The soldiers cry out. "They will not go quite yet," Emrys whispered. As soon as he spoke, the dragons leaped about into the sky, faced one claw out of another, bleaching fire through their mouth. Their battle cries through nails and slate through the air. Advancing on one another, the dragons clashed, raging with teeth and scales to the ground, and hour by hour they fought, filling the air full of smoke. This really cool painting of the artist. I really love it. It's so good. First, the red dragon seemed to be winning, and then the white. First one drew blood, as the other one did too. At last, the furious slash of its jaws, the white dragon caught the red by the throat, and then there was a moment of silence. For then the red dragon had tumbled at the end, over the end, until it hit the ground. The white dragon followed it down, stirring the fallen foe, screaming for victory in the air like a voice of thunder. "Kill it! Kill the white dragon now!" Vortigern ordered. But as if freed from a spell, his soldiers rendered their weapons. Before a single arrow could fly, the white dragon leaped up to the air, and it was gone, winging over the highest peak. "Just so the red dragon of Vortigern shall be defeated," Emrys said, but not too loud for him to hear. Cursing the fleeing dragon, Vortigern ordered the tower to be built again. Then he turned to Emrys. "If this tower does not stand up this time, I will have your blood." That night, Emrys stared out the window, past the newly built tower. A hawk circled lazily in the sky. Suddenly, the hawk swooped down, landing the window edge. For that moment of silent communication between them, and if Emrys could read the hawk's thoughts, and the hawk could read his. Then the hawk flew. Mountains and valleys, hillsides, forests gave beneath the hawk's wings until far off in the distance they spied thousands of flickering lights upon the south, as if it was a dream. Emerging from his vision, Emrys turned to the window and went downstairs. He found King Vortigern by the foot of the tower. "I have seen in a vision that your fate is linked with the red dragons," Emrys said. "You will be attacked by 1,000 soldiers under the white dragon's flag. Attacked and slain." Vortigern drew out his sword, angry to kill the boy of such innocence. But from that very moment, a look up top of the tower shouted, "Soldiers, my lord! Thousands of them!" Vortigern raced to the top of the tower stairs, stared across the valley. It was true. He had watched further as the knights leading an army urged with horses forward and raced along the tower from "Come meet your fate, murderous Vortigern." Vortigern turned to his own men. "Defend me! Defend my tower!" And when they saw the numbers against them, the men all deserted. "Surrender, Vortigern!" cries from the 1,000 voices say. "Never!" he cried back. "I will never surrender." The old wizard stopped speaking. "Well, what happened to Vortigern?" Arthur said. "You can't end your story right there." Merlin looked carefully. "What do you think happened to him?" "Vortigern was slain, just like Emmer said, right?" King said. "Is that the boy speaking, or the king?" Merlin asked. "The boy," Arthur admitted. "A king should forgive his enemies, make them his cherished friends. You taught me that, Merlin. But what did all happen?" "The men of the White Dragon defended Vortigern, all right. They burned him alive upon his tower that he built. And that night, the one who was leading the forces, who became of him?" "His name was Uther Pendragon, and he eventually became the High King," Merlin said. "Uther," mused Arthur. "He was the last High King before me. And then he was a hero. He was fit to rule. Perhaps one of his sons could claim the throne." "Uther only had one son," Merlin said softly. "Though only I knew of it." He looked softly to the boy. "That son is you." "Me?" For that moment, Arthur's voice squeaked up. "Uther was my father. Then I am not fearless. Then I am a king of right. I am not just because I pulled that sword out of the stone." Merlin shook his head. "Don't underestimate your real strength by pulling that sword," Merlin cautioned. "It took a true worthy king for you to do that." Arthur gave a big sigh. "Why didn't you tell me this all before?" The old wizard's eyes looked wide. "How could I not tell you until you were ready? There are rules of prophecies and there are rules for kings." "So I'm a king of truth?" "You are always the king of truth. You only doubt yourself. So, can you think of your dreams waking you up?" Merlin smiled. "Well, what of Emerus?" Arthur asked. "Whatever happened to him?" "Oh, he's still around," replied Arthur. "Went on dreaming, made a career of it. He rammed some old boxes of crates of his desk until he found what he was looking for. I still have this. I saved it all this time." He tossed a large, yellow dragon tooth across to Arthur. Suddenly, in recognition, dawned on Arthur's face. You saved this. Then you are the boy named Emerus." "Surely you guessed that before," Merlin teased. "But perhaps we can both go to sleep." "Thank you, Merlin," Arthur said. "I don't think I shall dream any more bad dreams anymore." Merlin gnawed his fingers, caged the boy's head at the moment. "But you shall dream," he said quietly. "Great men dream great dreams, and I dream yours is the greatest. And don't forget that, my Lord King," Merlin told him. Arthur took his crown and placed it carefully on his head, and then he turned and went out the door, and the door to the tower stairs. Merlin watched from that moment more, then sank back down to his chair. Closing his eyes, he immediately fell asleep, dreaming about knights and a round table. The end. Hope you all enjoyed it. Maybe I'll read more coming soon. Till then, be safe out there. And remember, this is only temporary. We'll be okay. As the king once says too.